Let's from there raise some of the big questions. Is the Supreme Court preventing the murder of democracy? Can the BJP today escape accountability, including its leadership? Is horse trading being normalized in the country? Just some of the questions I will raise. The BJP has chosen not to come on this topic, but I'm joined by Desh Ratan Nigam, political analyst who's often spoken in support of the Modi government. Dr. S.Y. Qureshi is former Chief Election Commissioner. Priyanka Kakkar is Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. And Shailesh Gandhi is the former Central Information Commissioner and an anti-corruption activist. I appreciate all of you joining me on the show tonight here. I want to come to you first, Dr. Qureshi. Prima facie, you heard Dr. Singhvi there. He calls it a murder of democracy that has been stopped by the Supreme Court. How do you see it?
I entirely agree with Mr. Singhvi. It was a murder of democracy, and Supreme Court has taken decisive action and very far-sighted action. They have taken care of every possibility in this case, particularly last 2 days development when there were defections happening. So they've taken the right decision that don't disturb with no repoll, only the 8 ballot papers which were considered invalid. Let us have a look at them, and they were declared valid.
So you have no problem with you believe that the Supreme Court should intervene in such matters?
Absolutely, and in fact, it should have been decided by the High Court in the first place. I have a grievance against the High Court. They gave 3 weeks. Now, what happened? This was a matter which should have been decided by the High Court in 3 hours. If not 3 hours, in 24 hours. They gave 3 weeks. Don't they know that horse trading happens all the time? In 3 weeks, which is exactly what happened. Horse trading happened. And now the figures which you are showing, that despite Supreme Court order, if the mayor is toppled, it's very, very dirty politics.
Okay. Shailesh Gandhi, your first reaction as an anti-corruption activist, is the Supreme Court, has it sent out a signal that enough is enough? We have had enough of cases of not just of a poll being in a way rigged, which is shocking enough, but also horse trading, which has been normalized.
I'm looking at it from a slightly broader perspective. Why do these things keep happening? Our rule of law is pathetic. We are 79 worldwide in the rule of law index, and that is why people are not worried. People can do wrong. If they are powerful enough, nothing will happen to them and they can rest assured. The chances of punishment are extremely rare. I would not be very surprised if this officer also gets away with almost little punishment or no punishment at all.
No, but is it a positive step? Do you believe that therefore the Supreme Court has sent out a message that we are watching?
Look, this man was not worried facing the Supreme Court. I saw his demeanor yesterday when he was before the Chief Justice. And he didn't seem concerned. He didn't seem worried. Which should happen, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India talking to you, and you should feel that you are ashamed. There's no sense of shame, no sense of fear. This needs to change. I do not think of FIR has been filed as yet against him. I have not heard of that. And the system, there seems a flaw. I cannot understand why after a vote is cast, it should be signed by an officer. If a signature is required, it should be before the polling, not after. A system which says after the polling, somebody is going to sign that is open to problems being created.
Okay, so you're pointing to certain issues that this case has raised. I want to come to you, Desh Ratan Nigam. I mean, the BJP is not coming even on any television channels to discuss Chandigarh. It almost seems that their silence suggests guilt, that this is an issue where they have, in a way, been proven guilty by the Supreme Court of no less than murdering democracy. Anil Masi was the Minority Morcha cell head or a member in Chandigarh. And he is the one who was the presiding officer who apparently brazenly defaced certain ballot papers and ruled them invalid.
Well, Rajdeep, let us be very clear. When I was watching the CCTV grab, it appears, and Supreme Court probably confirmed it also, that it was being done brazenly, and he was pointing it towards the camera saying that I am doing it. This is something very strange. Has BJP been trapped into it? BJP needs to have some kind of an internal investigation out here. That is one possible theory. I'm not
No,
going to
what do you
defend
mean by
this.
trapped into it? Are you telling me Anil Masih would have done this on his own without no one in the BJP knowing about it and he was trapped into doing this? Surely not.
No, he was not trapped. It's the BJP which has been trapped here, trying to explain, and therefore the silence. And they need to have some kind of an investigation within their own setup to find out as to how this has happened. One. Secondly, it is also a case of EVM now. These were paper ballots. Even if it's the smallest election, let us have EVMs. So there is no manipulation, because then you have a safety mechanism, VVPAT and everything. So that mechanism should be followed in each and every election. See, the fact is, whatever happened was very serious. And the Supreme Court came down very heavily on the person, and rightly so. Ultimately, BJP will study the judgment and see what is the final outcome, whether they want to challenge it, review it or not. In my opinion, probably they will not. And secondly, the larger question it has thrown is that the returning officers, the appointment of returning officers has to be very neutral. They manifestly should not be member of any political party. They have to be very neutral and perform their functions in a manner, in an unbiased manner, an unprejudicial manner.
Right.
And here is the case where Supreme Court has stamped something very serious about it. And let me tell you, I was hearing Mr. Singhvi very carefully when you pointedly asked him, brazen monotonous regularity. He was unable to back up with examples.
No, he's saying horse trading. No, he's saying horse trading now. He was referring to horse trading that takes place possibly in Rajya Sabha elections, the manner in which governments are toppled, amidst allegations that ministerial lures are offered. There is a, in my state of Maharashtra, we now call it khoke ki rajniti.
Let me answer that. You know, when a person of the stature of Mr. Singhvi makes a statement, we should not be talking about possibilities, presumptions, or speculation. You should, if you have something, go to the court. You know, when you make such general statements, then you paint everything with one brush. The election commission becomes bad when you don't win the election. The electoral process becomes bad when you don't win the elections. When you win the elections, it is perfectly fine. Our institutions are robust, they are working, including the Supreme Court. When they do not get the favorable judgment, they start, attacking the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So let us see that our democracy is vibrant, safe, and there are institutions autonomously functioning in this country and discharging their duties and responsibilities. So I will call this as one-off incident, not make generalizations as Dr. Singhvi did.
You want to respond to that, Priyanka Kakkar? I know that the AAP is celebrating today, but the truth of the matter is, since that election took place, 3 of your councillors have switched sides, joined the BJP, and as Desh Ratan Nigam says, this is a one-off. He says the BJP should actually inquire as to who did it. Don't blame the entire BJP structure so quickly.
Rajdeep, good evening to everyone. I must take this opportunity to really be grateful and thankful to the Supreme Court for restoring democracy in the country today. It is not just about a win at the Chandigarh mayor polls. This is a prime example of how, where 36 votes were polled and they were within the CCTV cameras. Therefore, we could catch this manipulation. Imagine when 90 crore people vote in the Lok Sabha, what kind of dhandlebazi does BJP do to win? It is pretty clear that Operation Lotus has been one of their modus operandi for the longest time. We have in Delhi faced it repeatedly. You, in your state, you mentioned 50 khoke, not okay, is a very famous slogan. Also, since he asked for proof, let me ask him if he thinks Anil Masih, a BJP minority cell adhyaksh, could afford lawyers like senior advocates like Mukul Rodhi and Solicitor General also advocating on his behalf at one point. This, how do you think he can afford this on his own? Do you think that there are also rumors within the political circles that Banwarilal Purohit was made to resign because he could not manage the camera, possibly the CCTV, possibly if the BJP had the guts to face these questions, which they don't, if you have a debate on demonetization, you will see them absent. You have a debate on Manipur, they will not appear. You have a debate today, they won't come. There are so many signs. The BJP governor resigns. Then there is this election of this presiding officer. You'll recall on 18th January when the elections were first to be held, he fell sick seek, under law, there is a provision. If the presiding officer falls sick, the duty shall be assigned to another person. That didn't happen. How could it be managed? It cannot be done without BJP's complicit involvement. It is impossible.
No,
And
you're saying
anybody
without the
can answer
BJP's
that.
complicit
There's science
involvement.
for
No, 1
everyone
minute,
to
ma'am.
read.
Ma'am,
See that
you're
as
saying without the
equations.
BJP complicit involvement. But the truth is that when 3 of your councillors choose to go to the BJP, look, what does it show about our politics? They are all willing to be bought over. It's all very well to say, we agree. I agree with you that the BJP has the maximum to answer today. But horse trading requires horses who are ready to bolt. The fact is there are horses ready to bolt. That's the problem in our system.
There is one more thing, Rajdeepji. Yesterday, one of the councillors, she came on record and said that my husband has been arrested and there's a threat perception towards him. So there are several kind of tactics that BJP uses. They have no morals. They are a corrupt party to the core. They're completely an immoral party, and there's so many examples that we have seen already. So these are really small things for them, using ED, using CBI. How did Chhagan Bhujbal file suddenly get cleaned and he came once he joined the BJP? How did Bhavna Gowli, for example, from your state, after she got 5 ED summons, suddenly the ED investigation dropped against her? So many there are so many other leaders, Harshvardhan Patil, Sanjay Patil, to name a few, who say that we sleep peacefully now that we have joined the BJP. There is no threat from the ED. So these are constant signs, the BJP member of parliament threatening in the parliament, saying that aapke ghar ED bhej denge. There's so many signs if we choose to turn a blind eye and think that BJP is above all of this, that is not true.
No, I'm not saying the BJP is above.
They have constantly
I've taken your point,
attacked democracy.
Ma'am, I've taken your point. I've listened to you patiently. You're saying that the BJP has done this on more than one occasion. Dr. Qureshi, can I look ahead beyond party politics? Because clearly there is something structurally wrong with our system, where governments can be toppled through horse trading. It didn't happen only in the last 10 years. It's been happening for the last 40 years. Ayaram, Gayaram, and it's getting worse because here even poll officers with CCTV cameras looking at them are looking to rig elections. I mean, is there something fundamentally wrong?
Yes, Rajiv, there are 2-3 fundamentally wrong things in this particular case. As Mr. Nigam also pointed out, having a returning officer from a political party to decide in an election in which the same political party has candidates is absolutely absurd. And they say that it is according to municipal rules. If these rules are there, really, they are stupid rules. They must be changed. Laws are changed all the time. This rule must change. The entire election of the country, about 10 lakh polling stations, 10 lakh presiding officers, everywhere, they're all government servants. So therefore, why don't we have a government servant as a returning officer here? So because government servant, one good thing about government servant is we have them by the neck for the next 30 years. Because if they make a mistake, their career will be spoiled. In this case, we'll file an FIR. Surely a FIR should be filed not on one count, but 2, 3. Mr. Singh had mentioned perjury 340. And then, I don't know, Mr. Nigam may please inform me, what is the punishment for contempt of court? And I can tell you, Representation of People Act was section 136, which says that if somebody tampers with the electoral document and it names returning officer, assistant returning officer, presiding officer, anybody, there is an imprisonment of 2 years and fine of both. So this guy deserves all these punishments.
Are you saying that are you saying Anil Masih should be imprisoned? Are you saying he should be imprisoned?
It is section 136. If you want, I can read it out to you.
No,
section 136 very clearly said that anybody who tampers with the electoral documents, then it names returning officer.
What about? So what could the election commission itself have done? They've stayed silent. Could they have done anything? Could they have intervened in a mayoral poll?
Though it's number one, it is a state election commission and not election commission of India, because it's a local body.
Could the state election commission have intervened?
Yes, they should. That is they're a constitutional body and this is their job. We have not heard them at all. So they should come out and they should take action. And somebody had to file all these cases. And although since it is before the Supreme Court, not only the contempt. All other, I told you this Representation of People Act, And every punishment which is prescribed in Representation of People Act is also provided in Indian Penal Code. So all these acts together are
So
working
you're saying
against
it's a
this guy.
criminal act. You're saying it's a criminal act. He should be prosecuted and jailed. Those are very
2 years.
Okay, 2 years jail should be given. Shailesh Gandhi, do you believe something like that? The court will have to do something dramatic to stop these.
It should be done immediately. It needs to be done immediately. The High Court giving 3 weeks time for something like this is, really speaking, absurd. Very questionable. Why does the High Court give 3 weeks? To do what? To do horse trading? To deface the original proofs? Why will the High Court give 3 weeks is a question we are not asking. We need to ask that question. Why did the High Court give 3 weeks? And public servants. I wish we had a public servant like Liaquat Ali Chhat, who in Pakistan has said he fooled around with the elections and he says, I should be hanged. I wish we had some public servants of that spirit at least. The system is unable to punish them.
Can I ask you, Desh Ratan Nigam, you heard what was just said by Dr. Singhvi also earlier, that the new BJP wants to win elections by hook or crook. Does this in some way damage the credibility of the BJP? It's India's #1 party. It hopes to get 400 seats in the Lok Sabha, but it cannot even bear a defeat in a mayoral election. What does that say?
Well, Rajdeep, I am not going to the extent of politicizing as Mr. Singhvi did, because he himself is a politician belonging to the Congress. So I'll always take with a pinch of salt the statements that he has been making. BJP wins because of his delivery of his schemes, the popularity of Mr. Modi, and the grassroots workers that they have.
No, then why do they need to fix then why fix a mayoral election? Precisely because of that, what you're saying. Why then fix a mayoral election? What does it show? It shows that you don't even want to lose a mayoral election.
Let me answer that. I said I'll leave that question open because this needs to be investigated by BJP. There is a theory which is a possibility that BJP has got trapped into this, and BJP.
So what do you mean by trap? No, I'm not able to understand who would trap it. Come on, Mr. Desh Ratan Nigam, the only people who have to ask what trap. How can one trap a senior presiding officer who's been asked to handle an election? Trap meaning someone instructed him to do what he did. And prima facie, it would seem it was the BJP leadership.
No, let me tell you, Rajdeep. As a lawyer, I have seen such strange cases where the factors are hidden. When you unearth, you find it that somebody stabbed you from the back, and things happen. And therefore, one of the possible theories out here is that this person, and once it is proven through criminal prosecution that he has done it, because he has got to be criminally prosecuted, as Supreme Court says, is where the onus of evidence and proof is much higher than the civil case. And once it is established, you got to see you have to lift the curtain and veil. I'm not saying who was behind, who was not behind, without naming any person, but you have to lift the veil through some kind of an internal investigation as to who was behind, whether it was BJP or there were some other people who were trying to trap the BJP. This is a theory that I am giving, and as a lawyer.
I know some other people who were trying to trap the BJP, I must confess, with due regard, seems a little strange given the way things have unfolded since then. But Priyanka Kakkar, I'll give you a final word. You know, the Aam Aadmi Party is claiming the moral high ground, saying democracy has been saved here today. But there will be many battles come tomorrow. Can you give us an assurance that you were in a similar situation? The Aam Aadmi Party will never try to induce MLAs from the other side?
We have a very high criteria for to be involved in a party. You know, honesty, character, no cases of corruption is a very high criteria in a party.
You're saying that a number of your ministers, with due regard, ma'am, in the Delhi liquor scam are in jail today. A number of your MLA, your own ministers are in jail. So can you take the high moral ground?
Well, you also know it, Rajdeep. Now that you mentioned, yes, I can, Rajdeep ji, and that is also because in time it will unfold too, that the 2019 amendment that they made to the PMLA Act, which revived the provisions which were declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in 2017. Right. that case will also see a similar fate. I assure you, Rajdeep ji, they have changed the laws to the extent that they can keep anybody behind bars without a penny of evidence, which has happened in our case. They've been hounding us for 2 years. They've not been able to recover
I
everything
have
because
run
there
out
is
of
no
time,
corruption.
ma'am, but you made your point
You
very...
will see this also, this case, yes.
Okay, you made your point very strongly. Today is a day where the BJP, frankly, is the one that has to answer. There is a question of accountability and prima facie to be seen to be rigging a mayoral poll does little credit for a party that claims to be a party with a difference, or a party that claims to be the largest political party in the world. And it has required the Supreme Court to give a solid rap on the knuckles. The Supreme Court is watching. One can only hope they watch more often. Thank you to my guests for joining me.